Hi, good evening. It's 6:30. We'll be opening up the Board of Health meeting for tonight. I'm going to start with disposal works permits. First one is 1 and 3 Nature's Way. Any issues with that, Bob?
No, 1 and 3 Nature's already went out for review, revisions, and is ready to ratify.
Do you want to vote on this as a group or individually?
Since all of these are the exact same as what I stated, the only thing I would like to say is at 372 Monpont Street, that job's actually, we can ratify, it's already complete.
It's already completed.
Yes. So the ability for the agent to approve prior to ratification now gave this installer the ability to get the job done before this meeting and the ability to start on 73 Hemlock Lane. Point being, I find that to be customer service.
I couldn't agree more.
So, you know, to be able to ratify these and actually get jobs going just helps the homeowner, the installer, and us move through the process, but in a safe manner.
Who was the installer on that, by the way?
That was Al Wood. Al Wood did it. That one was a Shane McGlone plan. And these were very simple systems. There weren't any variances. There weren't any concerns with ponds, anything. They just rip repair.
Right. So with that said, I'm going to entertain the motion to ratify the agent's approval for disposal work permits 1 through 6.
I'll move to approve the items as noted 1 through 6.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Reapprove 17 Ridge Road. What was up with that? Some changes needed to be made, I assume?
Yeah, that was approved by the previous board, I think in 2014. After 2 years, it just needs reapproval.
Okay.
They're finally gonna do the job, so there's no changes in the plan. I looked at the plan just to see if maybe we need changes, and I haven't identified anything that has to be done, so we might as well just reapprove the plan and let them move forward.
All right. Can I get a motion to reapprove?
Motion to reapprove 17 Ridge Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Bring to the board's attention. Kelly, this is going to be an interesting one. Kelly Dwyer's evaluation has been completed. And she saw us a job, so that's good. And we did give Tammy Larizio the nursing contract, is that
Yes.
correct?
So, when Tammy was hired, it was, I believe, April. And there was difficulties in her obtaining her MAVEN certification and being able to log in to do contact tracing and wellness clinics. So she's finally been able to obtain what she needs. Our communication in between the point of hire and our particular meeting today has been minimal, except for a couple of emails. She has not submitted bills, except for the one bill, which was only for 9 hours, which was for the time to complete the training process. I did provide a copy of the contract so that in the event that she might work out perfectly, may not work out perfectly, but at least we have it on the table that I believe there'd have to be a 2-month notice if in fact we decide to change our nursing contracts.
And when does that become effective? Or has it already?
It's already effective, and it runs until July 1st of next year. And I'm hoping that everything will work out fine. My initial contacts with her were excellent. Candace, you being on board, certainly we could probably set up a time where the two of you could meet, and then I'd have,
Yeah.
you know,
So her Maven training is all set now. She's good for contact tracing because unfortunately, that might be something we're talking more about in the coming months. So I think it's important that she's ready to do that.
yes.
She is, okay.
Yeah, what I want her to come in, the plan was for once she had it, come in, sit with me, so she's not using my user ID, and for me to walk her through, because it's one thing to get the training online,
Yeah.
but it's another thing to say, you know, when you hit a bump, this is where and what you have to do with it, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know.
Hopefully
let's-
that works out because like I said, I think the contact tracing is going to become an issue again in the coming months.
Oh, it most certainly will. I mean, even when we don't have COVID, tick cases, I had 9 this month that I followed up on. Triple E's I'll be following up on. There was one foodborne illness that I follow up on, so.
And all of that will be something she can help you with the tracing for.
Exactly.
Perfect. I don't know if either of you guys want to see this. This is the contract he was talking about.
I can forward you a copy. so
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
I forget
I've
to
got
hit
copies.
3 copies instead of.
And I'm happy to meet with you and her to talk about whatever, as you were saying. That's fine.
Yeah.
Just let me know.
You know, you'd be the expert.
Cled,
I don't know about that.
What? Good.
Mr. Cled's not gonna be here tonight, I see.
No, the attorney, requested that we, carry it over until 8/18. So I just thought maybe for a few minutes we could kick around maybe some questions that we may have asked Cled tonight. And then I can give those to the attorney and or Cled so that when they come in for our next meeting, they, be prepared at least on that. And I also told them though, it may not be all-inclusive of any questions that come about after our meeting. So, just something to put on the table for them.
One comment I do want to make and see how the board feels with me is, it seems like there's been a lot of games played throughout this whole process. So I don't want to be gamed around. I think I don't care for what reason, they don't show up next week, then a decision has to be made with or without them.
So, I was looking over the planning board meeting minutes from back in January, and I don't know if there was another continuance granted from the fire department or if they were found out of compliance again, but I mean, they were giving a 90-day notice back in January from the planning board, and I'm not sure what the update there is, or from I'm not the planning board, I'm sorry, the fire department. It said that that ended March, sometime in March. So did they have another violation? Did they ever meet that
No.
compliance? Do we know?
So I spoke to the chief today, actually, and he's working on bringing the site into compliance.
Okay, so he's seen
So he
enough
has done
progress.
some.
Okay.
According to the chief, the walls that need to be put up, he didn't want to have to pay like full market value. But if you go through a different company, when they have leftover concrete, they make the bricks for you. So he's getting them like a brick at a time, just so that he doesn't have to pay what it would cost to say, hey, I need 20 bricks. No, if you can make me 20 bricks in a year, I guess that might be okay, or I don't know.
Is the chief fine with that kind of timetable?
The chief's gonna evaluate this as it goes on, because again, he extended them this a few times.
Well, that's why I'm saying it's my opinion that we probably shouldn't let this get too, I don't want to be standing here in the next board saying, well, the Board of Health extended them, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D. It's my opinion that at some point, a foot's gonna be put down.
I mean, I agree, looking at these minutes, this has been going on for a long time. So is the.
Oh, we're all looking at like.
So is it next meeting? Their
Yeah,
last chance
from
to
what I'm
show?
reading.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
if we have to go, the noise complaint route, which, we haven't heard from what I can see, planning says that plan's approved. I have not heard from zoning, only because there's a new building commissioner. He's just brought on board with this, has no idea what, when, and where, so.
I thought they brought back the old guy.
No, just temporarily.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, to do some other, but we could even reach out to him. But, zoning is, if it's okay with the fire department to be on a schedule, then zoning would be does it meet light industrial use bylaws? If they say no, it does not, we haven't heard either way, then it doesn't even fall back into our court.
Right.
So if maybe by the 18th, we even hear from zoning, then this could be over with by the 18th as far as the grinder and the noise.
Do we know if
complaint
it's
goes.
been voted on or even on the zoning's agenda or anything?
The zoning board has changed and the building has changed, and I haven't been in contact till I knew we had a stable force in hand to really make a decision.
All right, so what can we do in the case that it keeps getting dragged on? I'd say zoning board's not able to do it. Can we do anything?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
I would say if the questions that we have aren't answered by the 18th, we ask Cled to do the demonstration that we asked him to do. Or, we didn't force him to, we said, or I presented to the board, I think 2 meetings ago, start it up, let it rip. And I want to hear what goes into it, and I'll know if he's just putting through twigs or he's putting through the stumps with rocks and whatever goes into a big grinder like that. And I'll get a noise meter. I'll get people with me to measure it at site. I'll measure it at the, I think probably the daycare would be a good second stop for that because there's children there. And then we would move to, the top of the hill where Chris lives. And meter readings, our ears, say yes, you're a nuisance, no, you're not a nuisance. Or could say, something, maybe I won't use that.
Or put up some sort of sound barrier.
Yeah, because what we had spoken
We were
about
talking about
before.
last time.
But, so my conversations with the fire chief make me wonder, well, how quick will you put up that barrier then?
Well, if he's building this other wall, one cement brick at a time, how long would it take to put up a sound?
Right, so then we'd have to
Unless we-
mandate
We
how
could
fast
say,
that
we
wall
have the
goes up.
final word. We can say if it's not up in 90 days.
Right.
It's
You
over.
have to halt, you have to halt what you're doing
Yeah.
until that's up to ensure that you're not being a nuisance to your neighbors.
Right. The ball's in the town's court.
Yes, and just FYI, if the noise levels, decibel readings aren't above the limits, he's okay. So
Regardless of,
if somebody thinks it's noisy, believes it's noisy, but doesn't meet the DEP, and DEP will come in and help us with this. They will make the determination that says, sorry, it doesn't fall within these readings and that, so.
what I don't understand is how many times has the board heard nuisance called for a dog barking? Because you said it's a nuisance that the dog's barking, now so we pick and choose what's considered a nuisance?
No.
He
We can't.
considers this a nuisance.
they're not gonna say that it's not disturbing. What they're gonna say is it doesn't, it's like any guideline and guidance. You have to fall within the X number of decibels per X number of feet. And that's what DEP makes a call on. It's not the board that makes that call.
Can there be a bylaw in place? I mean, for
I'd have to dig
for our
into that.
residents?
I honestly think that there could be, but that would be something I'd have to reach out to maybe a couple of other agents and certainly legal to find out how and where we write it. Because, again, it's the operation of a piece of equipment, meaning, okay, if you mow your lawn, it might be a nuisance only because I usually, sleep late on Saturday.
Right.
But I'm Joe and I like to do other things on Saturday, so I mow my lawn at 8 o'clock. We don't want to get into that kind of thing, but we
No.
have to make sure of, and that's where zoning plays the biggest part
Is there?
light industrial.
Yeah, I was
foliage.
gonna say, is there in the light industrial zoning, is there anywhere, like a decibel set at, like, as part of zoning as light industrial? Like, is that where the number would be compared to?
Well, I didn't see the number in there, but they
Okay.
certainly says if it creates a nuisance.
Okay.
Okay?
Can we force it to be a certain hours that regardless of decibels, that they can only do it for at certain times? Or is it decibels come in fine, all bets are off, we can talk about it to a
No, no, no.
nothing happens?
Again, through zoning, there's certain times, should be certain times of operation.
But I think if we can stress it, like, as far as being a good neighbor, like,
That's the exact outcome of what I want to see happen.
yeah,
I don't think I should have to get a decibel reading.
Right.
And sit up at the top of a hill.
Right.
And say, this is noisy, it stinks, or smell-wise, because then it goes to smell and they don't have a smell meter.
He was here before for the porta potties, right? Clyde was?
Yes.
He didn't seem very caring to anything we said, if I remember correctly. He didn't seem very susceptible to anything, kind of like, I don't remember him really wanting to play golf.
Yep.
See how it goes.
I heard from them yesterday, I believe it was the secretary who said that they didn't get the letter.
Okay, we'll see what happens.
So, and then, and the postal service is pretty bad, but they're not that far away, so I know I hand-delivered a copy into that mailbox.
So what kind of questions do we think? I mean, one question I have would be, regardless of decibels, would he be willing to maybe put up some sort of barrier or
Yes.
something, as like you said, as a friendly neighbor kind of
Right.
thing?
And if not, is there a part of the property where he could move it so that it wasn't as disturbing to the neighbors? And I think another good one is, and if, again, this would depend on if the people living in the area agreed, but is there a certain time that it's less bothersome to have it running? Like you said, like, is there certain times that,
Like maybe when people are at work, not
Yeah.
in, Sunday afternoon when you're trying to, have Sunday dinner with your family.
yeah.
I can't imagine any construction stuff going on a Saturday and Sunday from a industrial zone.
Yeah, you're sitting there trying to watch the Patriots game and your house is shaking. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's going to be completely different. You're going to come in, you're going to say, yeah, you're right, I won't do it on Sundays, we'll put a wall up, let's all work together. You just have to state your name and your
It's
address.
Chris Winowitz, 129 Circuit Street. I just want to bring up, you brought up from March, the fire chief. It was a whole new site plan that was submitted to be conforming.
Yeah.
And what the fire chief told me, and I have his letter here, is that he specifically even says it, is that what the fire chief is looking for is that it meets the NFPA fire laws with the storage of wood chips.
Right.
And he spells it right out that this site plan might not meet any other bylaw, like setbacks and property lines, because all the fire chief is looking for that it meets the fire laws. So there's still be made more issues if this site plan isn't even correct.
Bob, did you
So
say
that
that
sounds
the
like it'd be zoning, wouldn't it then?
Or did you say that planning board did approve the new plan? Because I was reading in these minutes that there was a new site plan.
The zoning board has not approved the fire chief's
Okay.
plan, but there is a plan that they have approved, like a new plan from them, but not from the fire chief. So
Okay.
the plan
And
that
the-
Chris has in front of him is not approved by plan.
And the record, oh, sorry.
After the fire last year, I would assume that if it's not approved by the fire chief, then it's a no-go, correct? I mean, doesn't he get final say as the safety officer, so to speak?
We can ask the chief that.
Okay.
I don't want to speak for him, or if he wanted to grant extension, like
That's all his ability.
he's done a couple of extensions, because there has been good faith efforts,
Okay.
but time frame wise, to your point, how long or not how long, there was on that one, there was an amount of time.
Have you had any discussion with the fire chief yourself?
Yes, that's when I went down and requested copies of this.
Okay.
And then all the records I have, what has been approved by the planning board, does not even show any of this part of the property being used for any equipment.
Now, was this a discussion you had with him at all? Like, has he given you any kind of idea as to, maybe something you could try?
No,
Okay.
no, because he's only dealing with the fire aspect of it.
Right.
And if they come into compliance with this, that satisfies from what he told me, what he needs for the fire stuff, safety, but not bylaws, zoning, planning.
So basically, it looks like they need a bunch of different approvals from a bunch of different boards and people at this point.
Yeah, it seems like some of this is before it gets to us, like the planning board, the zoning board, the plan itself. there'd be a
I've
lot-
tried other places, that's why I've
Yeah.
ended up going the noise route, because it keeps
Yeah.
coming back to the noise.
Yeah.
And like you were speaking, working, I tried when this all first started for at least a week and was being lied to, told they don't own a machine there, told there's no employees. The secretary that answered the phone says none of the employees work there, and I'm like, I'm driving down there right now and they're using the machine, and she's going, that must be the business next door. It was all,
Yeah, it must be the sandblasters. I mean, there questions I, ask is, what are your hours of operation? Do you have normal hours of operation, or do you wake up in the morning and decide, well, right now it's a good day and a good time to go down there? I personally think, you should, if you're going to be in an area around homes, you should probably have, certain hours.
If I have a question, the same as I use and I've used this example, in a food establishment, I can't just have dishwasher on a plan. I need to know the make, the model, high temp rinse, chlorine sanitation rinse, or a kid who stands in the corner with a rag. That they all fit into dishwasher. So I'd like to know the make, model, specs, how loud the noise is out of that, if it can be prevented with a wall, if it can be prevented with muffling, if it can be, there's things that he'd be able to provide to us so that at least we know, like what we're talking about. We can all say, yeah, it's a grinder, but I'm ignorant as to what kind of grinder. I know it's not a coffee grinder, okay? But I'll tell you right now, I don't know what type of grinder it is. And it may even give the decibel readings in their spec sheets on that particular model.
Can we send an email out to him or something out to him, asking him for the exact model?
Well, this is why I was asking for a couple of questions tonight, because I wanted to forward these questions
Yeah, I'd like to get
to
it as soon as
him.
possible so we
And that
can.
was my question more than anything else, because right now I don't know what kind of grinder I'm dealing with.
I do agree that it seems like this has been going on and on and on and on, so how do we feel about, you know, asking him to come to the next meeting, and then if he doesn't, maybe then we have to move forward with the decibel.
Well, that was what my, you know, my original thought was, 'cause I don't want it to turn into, you know,
Yeah.
the other board situation.
Yeah.
I think that will put us in a good position.
And
Yeah,
we gave him a chance
I
to come in and talk about it.
Yeah, we give him 2 chances at that point.
Yeah, and then if he doesn't, then I think we have to move forward with, you know, the nuisance complaint and get a decibel reading and see what's going on.
My suggestion to you would be to next week to see if any of your neighbors who experience the same issues, to maybe come in as well and, you know.
Has he had it running at all recently, Chris?
No.
Okay.
Well,
That was one thing I did discuss with the fire chief, because he seemed to agree too, but maybe he can further what his thoughts are, but he's definitely stockpiling stuff. So that machine come the fall or something's probably gonna be being used all the time again.
When I spoke with Cled's secretary about the meeting, she did ask me to clarify that they could have workers on site because prior we had had a cease and desist until they at least had porta potties available. And I explained to her, yes, both work sites, which at the time was Zero Monpont and Cled's, have porta potties. Board of Health does not have a concern with having people on site doing work. However, I can't tell you the scope of work that you can actually do on that site because she said that they need to start chopping some of the wood that they have. So there's 2 separate processes too. One's going to be grinding of mulch and one's going to be chopping of wood. I would imagine both created a degree of noise. I don't know if you've ever been affected by the chopping of
Well,
wood or anything.
you just brought that up. They were using that, I don't know exactly which day, early this week. Because I heard the noise and drove down to see what it was, and it looks like they have a big new firewood processing machine with a big circular blade, and you could hear the thing going, roar, then, you know, 10 seconds, roar.
Steve, so you know, conservation has a cease and desist on Zero Monpont.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been quiet over there. So, you know.
And do you have any?
Yeah, so that's, you know,
No,
I think-
I mean, I think just what you had said too about, like, asking about being willing to, you know, have their engineer, you know, come up with some sort of barrier.
Friendly fire, friendly.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've read into it and certain pieces of machinery are capable of, you know, being baffled or being enclosed or having things done to them. And then, again, Steve, to your point, I actually had a refrigerated unit that was, it was a bait storage unit in a parking lot in a Marshfield yacht area, you know, fishing area, Green Harbor. And one person was calling it a nuisance. Well, once DEP came in, they said, well, the specs on this, it's the Cool King, ultra quiet, so-and-so. And honest to God, you barely heard it start up and barely heard it run. And maybe at 2 o'clock in the morning, it wasn't any louder than the lady's air conditioner that was next door. So,
Right.
noise is a tricky thing in a way because, like, I can hear my father-in-law's TV next door, and, you know, to me, it's louder than the world. But, you know, to him, he's deaf as a hat. So we you know, we want to be able to you know, to get the readings that we need and to get the assistance from the pros, which would
Right.
be
I mean,
DEP when we do.
I think of an Asplin truck when they were cutting down trees at my house and with the chipper there, that was loud. You know, I
Yes.
can't imagine something, and that's just brush, I can't imagine something, you know, putting logs through all day long.
Well, yeah, and that's just it. This is a business, so obviously it's not like if Chris took down trees in his yard tomorrow.
Right.
I'm not going to be the neighbor who says, don't chop up your twigs if it takes you a couple of days, you know? But no, this is a business. It's still gonna be there. His problem's not gonna go away tomorrow, you know?
I can say too, when I've been down at Summit Street soccer fields, I leave my house when the machine was running, you can hear it a mile and a half away.
Really?
Clear as day, coming from that direction, and you can hear the bangs from it.
Well, there's certain sounds, you know, to your point, that you will hear emitted if they're, you know, a ways away that are acceptable if they're in a maybe high industrial zone. If it's an airport and there's planes that take off and on, I have that in Marshfield. So again, there's some factors if we're, you know, gonna think we're, you know, instituting a new bylaw, so to speak. Let's work with what we have, and let's certainly provide clarity. My goal, the last thing my goal is enforcement. It's getting everybody to understand the problem and then come to a mutual agreement that's beneficial for all the parties that are involved.
I agree.
So
I'm keeping the enough's enough
Yeah.
thing on the other side of it.
I got you there.
Yeah, I think having him come in to the next meeting, he says, okay, yeah, sure, we'll do we'll do something. I think we give him a clear timeline. You have 90 days to do this, and then if he doesn't, then I think that's
Put
when
a
we
cease
do
and
the,
desist.
yeah, and do the noise, the decibel reading. So yeah, say he comes in and he says, yeah, all right, I'll have my engineer draw something up. I think we give him a clear timeline. If he doesn't do it, then I think we call DEP and get the decibel reading.
Now, can we do a cease and desist, wait for DEP to come out, or does let's say he doesn't do what he's supposed to. Can we say, right, cease and desist, and then when DEP comes out, they'll do all the testing and everything, or do we have to
Well,
wait?
they won't, DEP won't do all the testing. Bob, you're a health agent. Will do all the testing, okay? Just so that we're clear on that.
Alright.
Some of which is gonna take part maybe at 2 o'clock in the morning to get various decibel readings at the lowest point of time. But I do have DEP's number that once we finally have the information they need, then they'll either come out at that point or they'll give us a decision based upon the information that I provide to them.
Okay, so we can't just tell them to stop if they don't comply. We actually have to have an issue first.
Well, at this point, we as Board of Health don't have it in our ordinance to. However, under the broad scope, I'd have to write an order and get it approved through legal to have a cease and desist.
Okay, well, let's just hope we don't have to get to
Our legal department could, because I don't have it in the bylaw, and unless it's specifically stated in my code that I can cite a number to. So, that could be tricky, but it may not be super time consuming either.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I could probably turn that key within a week or two.
All right, anyone have anything else to add?
No.
All right, 29 Ocean Ave, septic system and failure letter sent. Owner called, who will be attending the meeting.
I'm here.
All right, could you come up to the front, please, and state your name and your address, please?
Sure. My name is Thomas, St. Thomas. I own the property at 29 Ocean Ave. I live in Bridgewater on 21 School Street.
All right, so Bob, bring me up to speed. Do we have nuisance or anything, or just?
The system is currently in a breakout condition.
Okay.
I was inspecting next door because there's a new system going in over there and noticed it. I had no idea that it was, and then I found information from Kathy, our previous agent, that she had sent a letter and asked that you have the system replaced. And now we're at a point where, well, the system hasn't been replaced, so I guess
Well, that
we're
was-
looking for confirmation that the system will be replaced.
Well, okay. I talked to Kathy right before COVID, so that everything, as you know, stopped. So,
No,
no?
no,
Okay. When
I
did I
was
talk to her?
here, throughout COVID, and everything, the Board of Health was totally open,
Oh,
and the
right.
installers kept working. But now we're past
Oh,
that.
you know what I'm
So
talking about.
Let's
There's-
put the past in the past.
Yeah.
Well, what are we gonna do moving forward, would be the issue.
Yeah, okay, so I came to find out what you want me to do.
Oh, simple. If you could just simply, have, contact an engineer.
Yeah.
I have a list of them.
Yeah,
And then they'll, come down to a perk test. We probably, we might not even need to pop a hole, because we just did 2 of them right next door. It's almost an exercise in futility. I can tell you exactly what the soil's gonna be. Or do it at the time of excavation. They'll draw you a plan and they'll tell you what goes in, and you just run with the ball.
okay, so one question I have about that is, if an engineer, like let's say Webby, draws a plan, it's automatically okayed by this board?
So when any engineer draws a plan,
Yeah.
okay? What will happen is, we will send it out to a review engineer, who
Okay,
will give his comments.
okay,
Those comments are called revisions, and Joe will revise accordingly.
Okay.
And at that point,
Mhm.
then the review engineer will say it's good to go, and it will go. There'd be no reason for any denial on a plan, because you already have a system there.
right,
So we're not gonna stop you from using your house.
right,
Or, renting, whatever you do with the house. Our goal is just to get it into compliance, to keep that water source safe.
Right.
And groundwater safe.
mhm,
Worst case scenario would be, if no system could go in,
yeah,
you would get a tight tank. Well, effectively, you're almost at a tight tank situation right now, because what I tell the board is, until such time that you're actually able to get the scope of work done, we'll need a pumping contract that says we know you're gonna pump that septic the same way as you would a tight tank.
Yeah, like we did on Ponce Street there with the one we
The
found
exact same
breakout.
thing. So at least we know, until such remedial repairs can be completed, that it's being pumped. Because right now what's happening is, if it's not leaching into the ground and then into the water system, it's breaking out into the top of the grass area, which, is certainly a.
Is that a front or a back system at this time?
That's a front system.
Front system. When's the last time it was pumped, sir?
it was pumped July 23rd.
And
He's
that,
been good on that, and honestly, it wasn't a huge amount of breakout. He's also at probably the lowest elevation point on that street.
Exactly, and
Right?
the amount of rain we had in July didn't help.
Oh, no kidding. And that's why, fortunately, I've been back there since. And the ponding wasn't there. You still feel some of the squishiness underneath.
Yeah.
I wish that there was like an additive or something that you could do that would actually fix it. But it's, you've got, I say the system doesn't owe you anything. When
Right.
a system's been there for a long enough period of time.
what is it there, Bob? Do you have any idea for a system?
No, I'd rather pull the plan.
How many people live there, sir?
2.
2?
And they're wonderful. I have to tell you,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
lucky.
They're great.
Well, I'm trying to get an idea of how long had you pumped it before, do you know?
Say it again?
How long was the previous time? Like how long?
Pump it, it's a schedule for once a year.
Once a year? Alright, so if we have a breakout, clearly that's a little too long. I don't think we need to go to the extreme we did with Ponce Street.
Oh, no.
That was extreme. It was warranted, however extreme, because of the amount of people there. I would like to see it. I don't, with the pond right there, I really don't want to see it get into the pond. So I think we have to, get that done.
Yeah, I would think, are they year-round residents?
Yes.
2 to 3, probably 3 times a year. Would be more than enough. 2 might be good. I don't think that they're abusive on the system, but also if it's not breaking out, it's leaching somewhere.
That's fine. I just don't want to. I don't want to cause the homeowner hardship, but I don't want to put effluent into a pond either. So I'm trying to find that happy medium.
Right.
It's my opinion that we can set up whatever you recommend, but if effluent is spotted again, then drastic change will have to be made.
We could start with twice a year and let me monitor it.
I'm hoping it'll get done prior to, a year from now. I mean, being right on the pond.
Oh, I mean, having plans in place, would be what? Most guys, 6 to 8 weeks out,
Right.
conservatively. Approval process, 2 weeks. Installer, whatever, so, I mean, this is a doable thing within a year or so.
Okay. And you're fine with that, being able to have it in within a year or so?
It depends how much it costs, I guess. I mean, I don't have,
Kevin, you're the next
Kevin
one.
Pearson?
Perkins?
Perkins, yeah.
He just installed one. I'm gonna say that you're looking real similar to that. Excellent system too. He could give you a ballpark figure
Yeah.
on what it cost him, but he had to pump because of the renovations he did. I think, and I'm not an engineer, that you'll be able to get away with gravity. And that reduces the whole tank and the pump system, so that's a big cost reduction right there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and we'll work with you on it.
Okay.
Happy to help. That's really why we wanted you here, so that it wasn't, okay, let's,
Yeah.
you're aware, I'm aware, we're all on board. And,
Conservation is now aware.
what?
I said conservation is now aware.
Oh, there you go. Before they run in and say, hold on, if there's
I trust Bob, just so you know. I'm sure the whole.
Well, when it's a Title V breakout situation, and Concom's always one of the first things that I look at, but just so that Concom's aware and then into the board, Title V rules, anything that you guys would say. So, unfortunately, we have to call on this one.
It's my opinion that we just have pumped every 6 months. I would like it every couple months maybe, if you maybe take a ride by and just make sure we don't get no squishiness. And if we do, then it's my opinion we have to change it up a little bit. That's my opinion. I have 2 beautiful ladies, one on each side of me, that'll have their opinions as well.
I think
Well,
that sounds reasonable.
The other point of information, I asked him to stop using the washing machine, so that might help.
No, might help right there. Bang. It's a huge help.
Okay.
Yes. The conservation of, I wouldn't think that they're taking 45, 50-minute long showers.
They're not teenagers.
But many people on the pond have tight tanks. And they all go to a laundromat somewhere.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
it's a huge amount of water that goes through there.
Bob, do you
Hi.
know if grants are still being offered for tight tanks?
The proof?
If grants are still being offered?
Grants?
Grants, I want to say about 12, 15 years ago, when there were a lot of issues with multiple ponds, that the state came up with a grant program just for Title V and the septic tanks, for those that had tanks. I want to say it was in like 300 feet of the ponds. I'm just wondering if that program is still available.
I can look into it. I'm not aware of any such program. We did get grants for betterment loans, which would cover tight tanks and/or helping septic repairs. Currently, that there's some available. The only thing that was that the grants are actually at a higher interest rate right now than what it would be for you to go out and get a loan to buy a tight tank. So, almost rendering that option unavailable.
A tight tank is not something you want, trust me. It's,
No, I know.
You don't. You don't. And there's something that can be done there. I actually think you might have a little more front yard than the other house does. Because it looks like you have front yard, but that's a paper road that goes down to the street. So that's a very tight lot.
Well, people who have property on the lake think of the lake as the front yard.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
You're right.
But I know what you're saying. Well, my property is actually 2 house lots. It's not one.
See?
The one next door is 1 house lot.
Okay.
So,
you do have more,
yeah,
I
there's
call
more
it
room.
frontage because
Yeah,
it's
yeah, on the street, yeah.
Okay.
But the downside of that property, like you said, is it's the lowest point on the street. All the water comes off the street when it rains, right into the
Sure does.
yeah. Right there.
It really does. And Kevin did, Kim,
Yes.
just so you know, with Concom, when Kevin installed the system next door to it, they improved the drainage basin that goes from up on the hill on the other side, down under the street, and put in a tank to catch the solids at the pond water that's going in there. So some of the water that ends up in that funnel area, so to
Right,
speak, is actually now in a better situation once it gets to the pond, so.
who did the system, who did the other one?
Yeah.
Who did the system on Ocean Ave installed?
Oh, Bobby Brown,
Bobby Brown,
yep.
one of the cheaper. So I would talk to him. Is he still on site or is that all done, cleared up?
No, he should be all done,
Yeah.
but,
Well,
I mean, you can do, there's multiple installers, but he definitely knows what he's getting into. Well, one of the things too is you mentioned time frame, and now this just pops into my head, is certainly would extend you extra time depending upon groundwater levels and seasonal changes, because he doesn't want to be putting in a system in the spring, so to speak.
Right.
Because that's when we expect the groundwater level to be at its highest, okay? Not a good time to dig in that area. It's gonna be high enough during the drought season, okay? So,
Right.
the latitude to say, okay, yeah, he tells me, I'm gonna have it done in March, and I'm gonna tell you, you wanna wait till August? Because
Right, yeah.
it will be a better project, it will cost out cheaper for him, and he just have to do one extra pump, or, or maybe not if they're not doing laundry in there,
Yeah, right.
And the tenants, I did meet the tenants only because I'm on site 4 times or whatever. They're sweethearts. They'll do anything I would ask, or I took the trash out for them the other day. Yeah, I mean, it's just, they're really, really nice people. So, I don't think that we're gonna have a situation where, the tenant's gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna do the laundry and nobody's ever gonna know it, and, all that stuff. And if they do need to do a load, they have to do a load, but if they can.
Oh yeah, I mean,
refer off
I'm just
site,
saying,
that's
let's just, we're in the 6 months, if you happen to be in the area, pop in, just make sure that, the lakes are being cared for, so to speak, and we should be good.
I'm there weekly anyway with either a cyanobacteria check or a mosquito check or fecal termination checks, so yeah, the ponds are near and dear to my heart, so I'll be able to drive by and offer my assistance to you
Okay,
and at any point in time.
I appreciate that.
I appreciate you coming in. I only saw what was in the paperwork.
Right.
And figured this gave us all an opportunity, one, to meet you.
Right.
And two, to just say, okay, well, great, here we go, and we're here for you, more than anything else.
All right, good.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. So I'll be in touch.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll let you know how it's going.
Yeah, and, as far as the plans go, once it gets on my desk, I'll tell you if it doesn't have a snowball's chance and whatever, it won't even go out the door.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
Let me know your engineer.
Well, I'm gonna call Webby first.
Yeah, just do yourself a favor, get three quotes.
Okay.
Pick anybody in the area, and because I don't want to say one's great, one's not great.
Right.
Joe's terrific too, but I don't know their prices.
Right.
Yeah, it's at least just
Well,
check.
Kevin Perkins too told me he would give me whatever information he could.
That's fine.
He's another sweetheart. I can't believe all the stuff he knows.
I'm telling you, if he's on the Hanson Board of Health, and
Oh, he is?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
he is newly appointed, and he just loves to dig in
Yeah,
and grab bits of knowledge. It's fun working with Kevin.
yeah.
He's a good
Okay, thank you.
guy. You have a great day. I appreciate your time.
All right, thanks.
All right, moving right along in our packet fun. All right. I'd like to get a vote to add Robert Bunker and John Delano to list of consultants approved to witness the bottom hole inspections, final inspections, and/or perk tests should the agent be unavailable.
I move to add Robert Bucher and John Delano to the list of consultants approved to witness bottom hole inspections, final inspections, and/or perk tests should the health agent be unavailable.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Bob, do you want to talk about the first dump truck or the second?
Yeah, exactly.
Or both.
I thought just in case we weren't having a good time at the meeting, it would be a good time to bring it up, because maybe we'd all smile. But it also just brings up that, during any job, any inspection, accidents happen. And
Twice?
I heard it was two.
an accident should only happen
I
once.
heard it was two different drivers too. Two different drivers, right?
Yes.
How's her progress on the project? Is she done? Did she get her new system in?
No, it's not even done yet. It's not graded off or anything.
Well, it's almost totally graded now. I just have to wait to do the final, okay? Now the water's there. The water can get hooked up. And the system's on. She's using the system. So yes. But I can't sign off on a certificate of compliance until I do my final. I have to make sure all parties have been paid. And her paying them isn't the issue, it's the
Clean up.
contractor. Because the engineer won't release the as-bills to me until he gets paid. And at this time, he hasn't been paid. So what I've done is leave the D-box at a point where I can re-expose it to do the water test. I've finally the rest of the system. So everything's running, but for me to then call it a final, I'll make sure that the D-box is level, and then I'll have the installer, Scott, sign off, and then the engineer will have signed off, and then I can sign off, and they'll have a certificate of compliance
Okay.
for their stuff. And I did call the water department, and the water department said that they believe that it's all paid for, and they should be able to get down and finish the hookup. All the pipes there, it's like, it's ready. And the reason why we need the water hookup is because currently they're still running off their well water, which
How far away from the
Is-
septic?
it really doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because they don't have enough square footage to meet the bedroom requirements, which is why they had to go to town water in the first place. For a short period of time, it's no problem, but over years, what happens is that amount of land can't hold the nitrification that happens from a septic system,
Right.
and eventually would be a environmental concern, because they're under 40,000, or at 40,000 square feet or
I
whatever.
should take a class and learn about that kind of stuff.
I can just give you a cheat sheet, and it will save you a little time and effort, because then you're gonna have to learn about buying land across the road, you know? So that was just more of an entertainment thing. Thank God, nobody got hurt. I'm still waiting on DEP's response, because they're trying to figure out if it was under 10-gallon release or over 10-gallon release, and they haven't jumped out at me in an emergency, so I'm imagining it's just all paperwork at this point in time.
Sounds good. All right. Flying insects.
I have good news.
Yeah, good news.
Ken, go for it, come on, you must
I
have
have good news, Bob.
Yeah.
I don't know if you followed up with your emails or if Candace finished. I had
what?
texted Rep. Lenat since your meeting started, but she just texted me while I was sitting back there. Kathy will host the Zoom. So
See that?
the project in the town, don't need to worry about it. Rep. Lenatra will handle that end of it. She's more than capable to do the large crowd, da-da-da-da-da. I added Chris and Kathy to our email strand that we got going on, just to let everybody know.
Because I did
When
talk
you
to
say
Susan just before our meeting, and Susan's like, huh? Another? He's overwhelmed right now.
So when you say host, you mean the platform, like the Zoom platform? She'll set
Yes, she
that
will.
part up.
She
Perfect.
will happily do that. She'll support everybody in any way possible.
Okay.
She's also has positive West Nile virus, mosquito pools and Culex pippins and other things in Kingston right now. They were found yesterday, so she's always been very supportive of the town's education, the mosquito control projects and things, so.
That's a lot why I wanted Kathy to run with this ball is, you know, but certainly I'm on board with it. Kathy now has more than enough time and it's her passion. And she reached out to me and said, you know, I have my teeth in it, Bob. Take something a little bit, sort of not off your plate, but, you know, let me do some of the heavy lifting. So.
And what kind of time frame? When are we looking to do this again, Kim? Did you say end of August, beginning September, or?
When we were looking originally at the end of August, so now we really just have to find out everybody's availability now that we 100% have the platform, that will 100% work. So I'm good with any time frame. I think from my experience as being a commissioner with the project and working with Kathy, that her presentation and education is already there. Darius's stuff is already there. The superintendent at the project is on board and
So what's
There
their
is
dates and
yeah.
I think
What
before
would
Labor Day
we-
weekend is a great idea because a lot of people are going to be outside Labor Day weekend, you know, and then.
right.
Yep.
So I think
Yeah, so
before
let's
Labor
just-
Day is a great idea.
So what do they need? I mean, she's got the information.
Yep.
She's got the forum. Where,
All we need to do really is set a date. I think that's all where we're at now, because we were just in that limbo of who's gonna take on the platform,
Okay.
so.
So I think that, no. Well, I would say, so a couple of questions. One, are we gonna record it so we can reshare? I know that was
Right.
something we
Yes.
talked about. Okay. If we are, then the second question is less of an issue, but I was gonna say, should we give ourselves a week or two to sort of advertise, get the word out, let people put it on their calendar?
Yes.
That kind of thing? Okay.
that
We
would
get it on the sign?
Yep, we should.
And then the other question would be, how do we get the Zoom link out there? I mean, obviously we can post it on the town page,
Yeah, the
maybe. We
town
could ask
page.
Caesar to help us with that.
Yep, that would, Charlie will actually do that.
Okay.
I can post on our page.
Okay.
I can post personally. I'm sure Rep. Lenatra will post on her page.
Okay.
I'm sure that if we asked both the fire chief and the police chief, they'd be on board on helping to
Yeah.
get it all out there.
As a side note, real quick, have we talked about aerial spraying at all? Has that come up at all yet?
No, not yet. No state of emergencies yet. But knock on wood.
I guess I'm just one of the people that would rather, Mark Stiles has a commercial 95.9, and he always says the same thing. It's always, how's it go? It's always better to be proactive so you don't have to be reactive.
Have you ever read the surveillance and response plan?
No.
There's a plan in place that goes about it, all your risk levels and everything. The State Reclamation and Mosquito Board has input, the DPH has input, MDOT has input on it. Every once in a while, they listen to the public of the projects about it. Health agents also get, if they've started yet. We haven't had Triple E activity yet, thankfully. But West Nile is just as bad, and the emergent diseases we're facing, and they're testing for just as ugly as Triple E. So,
Guess I'm
but
just different.
that plan's always in place. And I know the health agents, they usually have their weekly meetings and conference calls and other things. DPH is usually really good about it. I'm sure COVID doesn't help on anybody's timeframes, agendas, or symptom-wise when it's this season, when it comes to arboviral disease.
Yeah, and on the DPH calls, actually, Triple E has taken the forefront over COVID at this point in time. But to your point, DPH, after they get the test data from wherever, and we go from the same thing, green to yellow to red, that's when spraying occurs. So we can't just say,
Let's
hey,
be smart and be proactive.
yeah, can you come over and spray? Now, Plymouth Mosquito Control, though, can spray the other areas,
Yeah.
which would be swamplands, just non-residential. So we have to get to red before they can do a spray over people's houses, because, some people still don't want to have their yards sprayed. They'd rather live in Mosquitoeville.
And,
Okay.
And that's okay. That's their choice, and that's what this country's all about.
and back in 2016, MDOT changed their regulation, CMR 133, which made it so you could do large-scale no-spray zones, because you can still do no sprays. And when they changed that, they took the no sprays that used to go into the clerk's office in the towns, and they made it so it goes directly to the state. And we currently have over 300,000 acres that don't get treated at all. No larviciding, no truck-based spraying. Only during a state of emergency, depending what's in those areas. Because we have some areas in the state of Mass that don't get sprayed because of endangered plants. It's not even animal. So even when we aerial spray, we're still not always spraying those high-risk areas. So it's,
I think that's separate from our forum.
yeah,
Isn't our forum gonna be,
it was just a point of education to Steve's question.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, let's pick a day and a time. I'm thinking weeknight, right? Would probably be the best audience if we picked a weeknight.
Do we need to find out what Kathy's schedule is to see what works best for her?
Yes. I would give her the option, but in the past, when Kathy has done educational forums and come and spoke and presented, evenings have never been a problem.
Okay.
But I don't know what her roles and responsibilities are as the community liaison at the project.
Okay.
But I don't think it would be an issue,
Okay.
but I don't know what her vacation time's like or anything
Yeah.
like that. We haven't discussed dates yet.
Okay.
Or what Bob's availability is on an evening,
Okay.
or might come up, or if he's even required or needs to be there and things like that, and yourselves if you want to be on the call and stuff. What
So
your own schedules are like.
Yeah, so let's get her availability, because I feel like time is sort of becoming an issue with this, because I would love to get it out, like I said, before Labor Day, before the fall sports start was the other thing I just thought of, and the kids are outside in the evening, and you know, we start really worrying more about it. Perfect. Okay, so maybe you can get some dates from her for availability.
I'm just gonna send out an email on the whole strand.
Okay.
Let's discuss dates.
Perfect.
Sounds great.
Perfect.
All right, thank
You've
you.
been extremely helpful during this, and it's greatly appreciated.
No, I'm more than helpful, and I don't mean to be confusing to you, Bob. Sometimes with all of my kids and the adult child and my son-in-law and my other two small ones, for me, putting all the information in one email at times is just a little bit simpler, even though it might not all go with this, but I promise to do better on
No.
sending out, and there's gotta be, what, I think we're up to like 23 subjects right now when it comes to
We appreciate anything and everything you do.
No,
Right, and sometimes I try to keep you in a lane so that we don't, go down past that we shouldn't go down, so. Thank you.
No, the educational forum will be great. I think there will be coming some information and different things the board should be aware of. That's separate than the forum. And I'll just leave it that for now for another time, because we don't want to give cross messages to the public.
You got it.
Does
We're
that-
in our lane, we got the forum going, let's stick with that.
Yeah, and the
Thank you.
sooner we can get a date, the better, because like I said, then we can get it out there, we can get it on the board, we'll put it on the website so that people can get it on their calendars and we can get as much participation as possible.
So I foresee the question coming to me, Bob, is if you're going to want to be on the forum.
I'll do anything,
Okay, but
absolutely.
what kind of schedule do you have, or can you work with about anything?
Kathy tells me when she's available, and if I can't make it, I'll try to make it,
Okay,
okay? I mean, the 99% is get Kathy on board.
yeah,
Once Kathy's there, if I have to bob, weave, somersault, I'll do what I need to.
I'm happy to help too.
yeah, awesome, sounds good.
All right, thank you, and stay safe.
You too. It's,
All right,
And-
let's talk about COVID, Bob.
Ugh, let's not.
So COVID, thank you. Yes. So. This week's been good as far as positive cases. Still trending in the, just 2.5%, 3%. Have received more calls than normal, well, than usual, on either behaviors, mask wearing, whatever. I thought that we just kick around for a minute masks in general, okay? Obviously, right now is not mandate time. I also don't think that a mask has ever hurt anybody. Something simple that just maybe re-emphasizes to people, when you're uncomfortable or happen to get into a setting that may be, slightly increased population than what you expected, have it handy. Either remove yourself from that situation, put it on. I certainly did it at the meeting the other night, only because this variant, Delta, hopefully won't become whatever the word is for E, because that's what variants do, but it is far more contagious than what we had in the fall. Just throw a number out there at least twice so I just feel remiss if we didn't say anything, but I also think that we're not at the stage where we would put out a mandate but we do have town meeting coming up, and things change quick.
There's also a
So-
school committee meeting that they called to talk about, I think it's next week, to talk about masks in school. I think it's gonna be an evolving situation that we're gonna have to continue to follow. I think it's not mandated yet because in smaller areas like ours, the numbers aren't quite as high as dense populations as you would expect. So my take so far is that it's gonna be an evolving situation that we're gonna have to continue to keep an eye on.
I do notice that like Target and Walmart, I don't know if Stop and Shop's doing it yet, are requiring their employees to wear masks.
Yeah, Stoppy hasn't yet, but Walmart has.
Yeah, and I know my wife works at Target, they have as well, that started this week.
And Kohl's did.
Again, I think you have, those are big national companies, so a lot of this is probably coming from corporate that, nationwide. So I think it's gonna be tough because a lot of this, we're gonna have to say, are we comparing apples to oranges? Are we looking at numbers in rural communities like ours, or are we looking at numbers in cities like Brockton and Plymouth and things
Right,
like
because
that?
like right now, they're saying Florida is off the charts.
Exactly,
You know, so
exactly.
obviously we can't be compared.
Exactly. But so that, I guess, is kind of my point, like Target, rather than saying this state, that they probably just said, all right, everybody that works at our stores put a mask back on. And as an employer, they, they can do that.
And that's how they do things.
Yeah.
The one thing, if the school is mandated for the children to wear masks, the municipal building or the municipal buildings, I really believe should follow suit, for the employees anyway. Because, I mean, what's good for the goose to me is good for the gander. I would like to see us lead by the example of it, and we could just say, okay, sorry, town hall employees, they have to do it, we're gonna do it too. But that would be at that point in time.
I don't like the idea of the town meeting not wearing masks, and that's a lot of sardines in one can.
Very vulnerable population goes to those meetings too. What's the basic age demographic at town meetings? Probably 50 and older? No?
It's a mix, because you got a lot of the parents who, parents will come too.
Okay.
But you're right, there is a good amount of older population as well.
Well, not even, just older. For example, my father next week or in 2 weeks is going into open heart surgery. So, me carrying something that obviously could be deadly to him, since the COVID always was. I'm not saying again, let's jump in there. I'm just saying, a town meeting, it's usually, you're in there.
Right.
Right.
Well, they did do the 6-foot distancing.
Oh, they did?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, they kept, I wouldn't go till they kept changing it, and by the time they actually had it, I wasn't able to make it.
Yeah. And they have a second meeting room, so if you can't make the
Right, they
6
did
feet,
the
then that's
overflow
good.
room, yeah.
Again, you put
Wow.
that in place and,
I think it was Marshfield that actually did it in their cars. Was it Marshfield?
yep,
And they actually had little things that held out the window.
Oh, funny.
yep.
We'll see
It's
how
not
it plays out.
far-fetched. But it's just something I wanted to put out there because,
How many cases, if any, do we have in town right now?
we have, right now, 7.
And how many of those would you say have come in the last 2 weeks?
6.
Okay.
And 3 of which are in the same house. So, and
Now-
2, even though they're not in the same house, are related.
Yeah.
So,
Couple little clusters right there.
well, yeah, and, I'm not laughing about this, but, so you're not in the same house, you would have been better off, well, being in the same house, because now those 2 that would have at least quarantined together have actually been with more people than what they would have been in their own little niche. So those 2 knew 5, and these 2 knew, 1 knew 3, that was 8. But if they'd all been together, they probably only would have been with 4. So,
although we all agree we shouldn't be mandating anything at this point, should we at least be putting some sort of advisement or something for the town meeting?
I know that
What,
the,
town meeting is September?
Yeah.
Forget the date.
the select board wants to put some discussion on their next meeting. And, at least for us to give them some input on, okay, you don't have to force, but you know, what kind of signage is gonna be there? What are you gonna, what postings, what, to really convey, and by then, it could change. It could be, well, you have to wear a mask.
Well, it
I
could
don't
also, we just discussed that, we would see what the, school committee does, which is obviously gonna happen before September, because September 1st, the school's open. And at that point, I believe we just discussed that municipal buildings would be masked if the school committee agreed to be masked, correct? Or discussed.
Yeah.
So that would kind of all fall into one another, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
And
you think-
until that meeting, even if we just put out a general statement, hey, please be advised, in high groups, large
It's just like
groups,
Governor
Large
Baker
indoor
said.
groups.
right? Yeah, just, I'll put like a one-liner, because, Candace and I were speaking on, mosquito stuff. The faster you hit somebody, people have low attention spans.
Yeah.
We don't want to put out a paragraph. We want like one sentence
I
that
could
says,
barely get through this mass state advisory. I'm like, okay, yeah. Put my
Well, I mean,
mask
something
back on.
simple like, in a crowd, grab a mask.
Yeah.
there you go.
You know, I mean, something,
Be
4 or 5
prepared with a
words.
mask.
Yeah.
Keep your mask in your car still or something like
Yes,
that.
that's
It's
it,
just something that just catches you and it's there.
A little catchphrase,
But I think as far, when is town meeting? We have one more meeting before town meeting, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so, I think it's a moving target. I think we can talk about it again in 2 weeks and see how the numbers are, but it's it's impossible to predict. We'll have to see how the numbers go.
It really is. That was my
'Cause,
last.
supposedly with the other factor that plays a role in numbers is, different counties and communities have higher or lower vaccination rates, and that's another thing that plays into should you have a mask or not. And I think that's a reason why we haven't seen a mandate yet, is because a lot of the cases are coming where vaccination rates are lower. So it's going to be a moving target, but I think it's good that we have one more meeting before town hall so we can see what's going on in 2 weeks and make a better statement from there.
Now, one of the things that's going to be available both to the schools and to the Board of Health, I provided you, Candace, with that, is there'll be testing kits. We
Are we gonna
did
get
tests
these for the
last
fire
year.
department?
Excuse me?
We're going to get these for the fire department?
Well, no. Last year, the fire department bought them, they were $35 a piece. Okay? To the best of my knowledge, DPH is gonna give boards of health a certain number of them.
Okay.
So, I wanna order some because,
If we can get them, why not?
yeah, exactly. Test, you can have an opinion about a vax or this or that, but a test is a test, and
Yeah.
that's good. Either I can use Dr. Muse, who was from the fire department, to write the order, or a nurse practitioner can write the order. It doesn't really matter. It just says that, yes, the fire department's gonna be the one doing the test.
Okay.
Fire department's 100% on board, and I can go with Muse. But I just wanted, I didn't want to overstep you, so
No,
to
that's
speak,
fine.
So if it's okay to go with him, I'll just have
Absolutely.
a new order written by him, and we'll,
Yeah, and if
we'll
not,
grab
if
some
for some
tests.
reason that doesn't work out, I'm happy to do it as well.
Okay, perfect. Either or. It's just simple, and the, everybody who, does conduct the tests,
Yep.
is fully trained and signed off. And,
Yeah, it's not a hard.
oh no, they had me doing it. That was a blast.
All right, permits.
That's it.
Thank you. James F. Gilmore, of 2 Lamppost Drive, irrigation well permit. Cape Cod Cafe, 2021 food establishment permit. Health Habits, 2021 food establishment permit. Our Lady of the Lake Church Festival, 2021 mobile food permit. Does that have to change because it's not Our Lady of the Lake anymore?
Yeah, now it's the Apostles or somebody, right?
Yeah.
I should check that.
Okay.
And
So,
just an FYI too, on the Health Habits
Yep.
and Cape Cod Cafe, apparently they're delinquent every year. These should have been renewed months ago, but they just hadn't sent in their applications and fees. So they actually did get hit with late fees. But
Okay.
according to Peggy, that's a regular thing. I don't think it will be moving forward though.
okay. Richard Berg, J Corp Unlimited Excavation, 2021 septic installer's permit. Eric Watson of E. Watson Excavating, Inc., 2021 septic installer's permit. David Penny of Rock Meadow Enterprises, 2021 septic installer's permit. And Lawrence Silver Engineering Associates, 2021 soil evaluator's permit. I'm looking for a motion, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, to approve the 1 through 8 of the permits.
I move to approve the permits 1 through 8 as listed.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right. You have to read the last one.
Yep. Tyler Brenton Heritage Pumping 2021 Title 5 Inspector's Permit. You want to move that, Candace?
Sure. I move to approve permit number 9. Can I just call it permit number 9?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So
I remember.
you abstained. Very good.
Parent or sister company, child company, whatever you want to call it. I paid in my rear end. All right. 7:52. I'd like to entertain the fact that we close the meeting.
Motion to close the meeting at 7:52?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.